Hi, third grade. It's Miss Harding. I miss you guys so much, but I am excited to be here with you today, teaching you all about how to write a powerful introduction for your narrative writing. What the point of this lesson today is really making sure that you are able to hook your reader into your story and make them want to keep reading it. I know that sometimes for me, whenever I'm reading a chapter book or a picture book, if after the first page or so, I'm really just not interested or hooked into the story, sometimes it's really hard for me to keep reading. That's not what we want to happen to our narrative stories that we're writing. So this lesson is going to give you some ideas, some tips and some tricks, and then I'm going to end by sharing my writing with you and showing you how I would write the introduction for my narrative. So let's start. I'm going to share my screen with you. Let's start by looking at a video that shows us what narrative writing is and how to write a powerful introduction for it. All right. So when we're thinking about writing powerful introductions, here are some examples for choices that you can make for something that would be a really powerful introduction. So the first story starter choice that you could choose to write is a dialogue or a conversation. So dialogue just means two characters talking back and forth. So this example says, "Hurry or you'll be late," called my mother from the bottom of the stairs. So this person chose to start by writing the mom talking to her. So that's why it would be a dialogue story starter. The second choice of a story starter you could choose would be a quotation. So you could start with, have you ever had a day when you wished you had stayed in bed? What you're doing there is you're talking directly to the audience, to the reader, and you're asking them a question before you go on to the rest of your reading. The third choice you could use is vivid description. So vivid just means that you're using a really descriptive, powerful, you're telling us everything in detail so well that I can picture it myself in my mind, like this. The sun was warm on my back as I raced toward the waiting school bus. The worn leather seat greeted me. Friendly voices hummed all around. With a jerk, the bus rumbled down the road. That is very vivid. I could picture that in my mind, and I hope you could too. The fourth choice that you could choose is to say an interesting fact. For example, shock has been known to kill 10-year-olds. It can cause their brains to explode and their hearts can stop dead still. These facts raced through my mind as I stood dumbfounded. So this writer gave a fact at the beginning and then started writing about his story. The last choice that you could use is to give a sound effect or an onomatopoeia. That's a big word, isn't it? This example says, bzzz, the sound of the alarm clock droned in the room. I struggled to wake up. So that person gave the sound of an alarm clock, and I definitely know what that sounds like. So I was able to picture in my head. So when I'm thinking about what I want to start my story with, first let me tell you about what I brainstormed. I was thinking about a place in my house that is really special to me, and I was kind of having a hard time because I haven't really lived in my house very long. I just moved here last year, and so I actually chose my car because I have a lot of memories in my car because I love going on road trips. My car has taken me to the beach, it's taken me to Louisiana, it's taken me to the river, so many places. And I also go and pick up my nephew Kendall from daycare in my car, and we go and get ice cream, and it gets really messy on my seats. So there's just lots of good memories. I love going and getting it washed in the car and seeing the big cloths hitting the window. I just think it's so cool. But there is one kind of sad memory that I have in my car, and that's the time that I actually got into a wreck. I was okay, but still it was pretty scary. And I think that I could write a lot about the time that I got into a wreck. So that's what I'm going to choose to write about for my narrative. And I haven't started writing it yet. So I'm going to show you how I would start my story. I think I'm actually going to choose to do the sound effect story starter mixed with a little bit of description. So I'm going to try to be descriptive in introducing my story. So I'm going to switch my screen and I'm going to go to my notebook paper. All right, so I know that whenever I write a story or I write anything on a piece of paper, I want to start all the way at the line and I want to go all the way to the end as long as I have room. I'm also remembering my capital letters, my punctuation marks, and all of those things that my teachers have taught me over the years. So remember, I'm choosing to start with a sound. So when I think about when I was in my wreck, the sound that I heard were the sound of my tires coming to a stop because I had to slam on my brakes whenever the lady pulled out in front of me. So I'm going to say screech. I think that's the sound that tires would make. And since I want it to be very powerful and animated, I'm going to add an exclamation mark because I want the reader to read it with emphasis. Screech. Now I ran out of room here, and the word that I'm about to write is brakes. And I don't think that brakes can fit there. So I am actually going to go to the next line. think this would be a good place for me to stop and reread what I've written so far to make sure I didn't leave any words out by accident and to make sure that it sounds pretty smooth so far. Screech went the sound of my brakes. My car slammed to a stop after spinning in circles for what seemed like hours. Can you picture that in your mind? Probably sounds scary, and it was a little bit scary, but thankfully I was okay. So checking my sentences so far, notice how I started every sentence with a capital letter. And at the end of every thought, I put the correct punctuation mark. Here, I just needed periods. Up here, remember, I chose to put an exclamation mark because I really wanted it to be strong and powerful. I think this sounds good so far. I'm gonna say, my hands gripped tighter around the steering wheel. Uh-oh, made a mistake. I added another sound words. Crash, bang, crash. My next word is thought, and I think that I could fit it there. Yeah, I silently thought to myself, what just happened? Now that's a question. It starts with a question word, who, what, when, where, or why. So I need to end it with a question mark. All right, so I have completed my introduction. Now I'm going to stop and I'm going to reread it. That is something that good writers do because we all make mistakes. We may have accidentally left out a word or, something just didn't sound right. So to be a good writer, you want to stop and reread. Screech went the sound of my brakes. My car slammed to a stop after spinning in circles for what seemed like hours. My hands gripped tighter around the steering wheel. Crash, bang, crash. I silently thought to myself, what just happened? So this is what an example of a powerful introduction looks like. I could have very easily said, one day I got in a wreck. And that's it. But I know that if I were reading it, I would not be interested in that. This hooks me in. It makes me wonder what happened next. And it also makes me want to keep reading. So what I want you to do today is I want you to choose one of those from the list that we showed to start your introduction for your personal narrative. I want you to think about how can you make it powerful? If you've already started your introduction, what could you go back and change about it to make it even more powerful? I cannot wait to read all of your writing and to see what powerful introductions you choose. See you guys later. Bye.